Hey, my name's Holly and welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new, this channel is called Dear Diary because I am reading people's real diary submissions / story times. So this is not my story. I'm actually going to refer to her as May, which is not her real name. I hate long intros, so I'm just going to tell this story. So May's story starts when she was around 11. But before then, she kind of talks about how she was lonely and kind of felt like out of place or left out of her family, her friends, even her religion. She said it left her very vulnerable for people to prey on her / use her. I'm guessing she was also somewhat insecure about feeling left out. Obviously, she didn't feel like she was belonging anywhere. So she was quite young when bullying started. This obviously left May feeling even more lonely and depressed. You have, first off, being a child, being super young, and not feeling like you fit into anything that is in your life, especially your friends at school, because that's always a big deal. And then third, you're getting bullied. So it was at this point when a guy named John came into her life, and May is 11 at this point. So how they met, which I don't find this shocking or surprising or even like cringy at all because so many kids are on this, but May met this person named John on Minecraft. And that's just not weird to me because she's 11 and all kids are playing Minecraft. It makes sense. So she was on Minecraft when someone from a server personal messaged her. She said she felt kind of weird about it, but she went along with it. Again, she was 11. Makes sense. Now that May is older and can actually look back on the situation, she is convinced that he probably sent those same messages or message to a lot of people that he thought would be a good fit to pursue. So they start talking and actually having like a full-fledged conversation, and they talk for a few hours. She said it was kind of weird, the things he started saying, but again, she just kept going along with it. For example, he said, "Your skin is so pretty, does it look like you?" And skin like from Minecraft, not like her actual skin. He continued to say things like, "I bet you're so mature and pretty," or "you're so good at blank and blank," or things like that, just to compliment her and make her feel special. Then this John character starts to ask questions that are a bit more personal. May says that she felt like she knew him at the time, even though she only knew his name. I'm guessing he was very good at making it seem like she could trust him and that she actually knew him personally, when obviously that wasn't true. So she started telling him stuff, and again, she is 11, and I don't know how old this guy is, but I'm guessing he's older than 11. So she started telling him small personal things like what she liked to do for fun, obviously her name, and then it escalated into her hometown and what school she went to. She thought things were fine. There were no like red flags right away that an 11-year-old could tell. And it just felt like she was getting to know a friend and that he was normal and trustworthy. And eventually she saw how late it was and she's like, "Okay, it's late. I have to go. I have to sign off." And he's like, "Okay, promise me you'll get on tomorrow and we'll talk more." And she agreed. The next conversation that May and John had together, May said that it went pretty fast. The only thing she actually remembers is him asking for her phone number, and she gave it to him, and then they started to text every single day. As far as how school is going, things were actually looking up for May. It was towards the end of the school year, and she had gotten a lead in the school play, and she actually had like a good group of friends going. And it wasn't long until she started to hang out with them every single weekend, like normal friends do. So May is feeling good. She has a good group of friends. She's hanging out with them outside of school. She is making friends both offline and online, and things are going well. And then John asks her to date him, and she says yes, and this is good for her. Well, as far as she can tell, but she's happy, and that's the point here. And then one day, John asked May to hang out with her, and he asked her to not tell her parents. So May, still being a good child, asked her parents if it was still okay if a friend could come pick her up and she could go hang out with them for a bit. I'm guessing she wasn't giving them all the details, obviously, so her parents were kind of getting weirded out, and they were asking questions like, is it your friend's parents picking you up, or is it the friend picking you up? And she dropped the bomb and said, it's the friend who's picking me up. And then her parents were like, no. May said that her parents freaked out, just as they should have, because they love their daughter. And they were super freaked out. Her father blocked John's number, and that was about it. From her parents, at least. May, on the other hand, was obviously furious with her parents, but John ended up emailing May, and they just used a different message system, so they were still talking. This is when John started to get a little more possessive. He started to require May to message him every single day, and that ranged from every few hours to sometimes constantly. There was one time when she told him that she was going out with friends or family or doing something other than talking to him, and he got super angry and upset. He would actually get mad at her and accuse her of not loving him enough. And then he just stopped texting her, and it was just for an hour, but May started to panic, thinking that he could have possibly done something to himself or something of that sort. And he finally texted back, but he was distant, like 1-word, 2-word responses. May then canceled all her plans that day just to talk to him because she was scared and she didn't want him to do anything that could hurt himself. And he was also abusive, and she was, I don't know if she was older at this point, but 11, 12, 13, doesn't matter, that's still super young. May says this was the start of the downfall. He would only allow her to hang out with her friends and family if she texted him while it was happening. He started to become more pushy about the kinds of things that they were texting or not texting. He wanted her to send things that she was not comfortable with sending. Around this time, it was around the end of the summer, she went over to a friend's house, and she decided to turn off her notifications because she just needed to get away from it for a second. And when she was at her friend's house, a storm hit and the power went out, which sounds bad, but when you're with friends, it's like exciting and fun and you're with each other, so whatever. She said they spent the night telling spooky stories and they braided each other's hair, like even the guys, and she said it was just such a fun time. She then spent the night at a friend's house, and she said she was actually happy and she felt at peace for once. Then she went home and she turned on her phone, and she found over 200 messages from John. The last few messages were him cursing at her and being angry, and then the last message was him telling her that she never loved him and that he was going to kill himself. She obviously panics and starts sending him messages asking if he's okay. She apologizes for everything. Basically what usually happens in these situations, because you don't want someone to hurt themselves ever. And he said that he would forgive her if she did what he asked for, which was sending pictures. So she did, and she kept doing it until he said it was enough. May said that she felt sick to her stomach with what he had her do, which obviously there's no details about that. But she fell into a state of depression and she started cutting everyone she knew out of her life and started self-harming. So school starts again and she's depressed and she's still distant and she doesn't hang out with anyone but her friend group. But thank God for good friends because they started to notice and they started to make an effort to ask her to hang out. And these friends didn't even mind that they were just hanging out with her during school because they just wanted to hear from her and they were just happy to see her and actually spend some time with her. It wasn't long before they started to notice something about her because it was getting warmer and she was still wearing the long sleeves and they were concerned. So they talked to her and she eventually admitted that she was self-harming. And they tried to help her for a bit, but soon after they went to her teacher, which was the right thing to do. May says that to say that she owes this teacher her life doesn't even come close. This teacher was totally there for her. Not only did she make sure that May was alive, but she also helped her to know that her life was worth living. The teacher obviously went to her parents, of course, but the teacher not only told someone about it, she actually kept a close eye on May during class and kind of just looked out for her and was there for her. During all of this, John kept asking and pressuring May to send more pictures, and eventually May told her friends about it, and her friends obviously freaked and were like, you got to block him and leave him, and it wasn't long until she did. So I guess it worked because she says that she had a break from this for about 2 years, and by now she's in 9th grade and she made new friends, has a new friend group. Not that the old one was bad, but it seems like she just kind of grew up and evolved and she has a good group of friends going and she's happy and she's just in school. So again, she's in 9th grade and she went on this old messaging app to message some old friends. And that's when she saw old and new messages from John. And May says that she made the mistake of messaging back and telling him to leave her alone. He began trying to find other ways to message her, like finding her social media accounts that had similar names to the ones that he knew. And obviously she started to panic knowing that he knows where she lives and the school that she goes to. So of course she eventually had to go by an alias for all social media accounts and she had to delete all of her old ones, which just sucks. Not the social media account part, but just the fact that you can't even use your own name because someone is out there that could possibly harm you. It's just not fair. So a bit more time passes and she says it's been quite a while since he had contacted her until recently, a few days ago from when I'm filming this, he had contacted her once again. So the crazy thing, I didn't want to include this in the intro just because it could get confusing and long intros always suck, especially when you don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But May actually sent me a Dear Diary entry. It was short and it was just about what she was feeling. But then I got another email soon after. And not only that, she didn't mention this within the story that she wrote, but it was like a little intro. The police does know about this and she did file a report and that's all taken care of. So she made all the right moves, obviously, and she does have her parents and her friends seem to know. It's just a matter of putting it to rest. She says, I don't have a happy ending for you, but I have a good support group, and my family knows what happened. So I wanted to share this story, and obviously May did too, because a lot of kids go through something like this, and not just kids, but people of all ages. And I'm referring to meeting someone online here and it turning out to be not what you expected, or it turns out to be dangerous or harmful. But I think we are getting better at it. I think there was some issues at first because if you think about it, a lot of our parents did not grow up with the internet. So they weren't as aware of the dangers on it. Therefore, they weren't educating themselves or their kids as needed. Which is why I think a lot of these stories keep popping up. And it's definitely an issue, still an issue, but at the same time, it's definitely getting better. So the message here to actually help the situation, be careful, don't trust anyone that you don't actually know in real life. Unfortunately, predators are out there, and it's not just the scary sites that they're on. They're on places like Minecraft. Just be careful, be cautious. Tell your parents, tell your friends. If you are meeting someone and you actually think it's good and real, you still gotta tell people. It's not gonna hurt to tell them. And just be careful, please. Thank you for listening. Details about this project will be in the description.